Radhe Radhe. Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. May this be an offering to Sri Radha Krishna. And as we await our first guests to arrive, allow me to set the intention for this space as being an open one. Hopefully everyone feels welcome to participate. Regardless of our belief system, our background, I hope that we can come together to see the unity amidst our diversity. I want us to be fellow students of life, here to uplift each other, relate in each other's experiences, and share sentiments of positivity. I think we all could use it, and it just feels good to be positive too. That's one of the things they don't tell you about, being kind, being loving, is that it just feels good to do those things. So it's a win-win for everyone involved. I trust those who are coming in now are feeling as well as they can. And hello, dear Magdalene. Welcome. Hare Krishna. My heart is full of love. How are you doing? I think our heart is always full of love, come to think of it. But sometimes we have all these walls around it. Hard to get that love out or get any love in. That's for sure. As we were talking about yesterday in the pocket Pema Chodron, from that Buddhist nun, she was saying that don't let life harden your heart. A heart can become hard, and a hard heart makes it difficult for love to get in or out. Hello, dear Loopy Lane. Magdalene, you share? You are doing quite well yourself. I'm happy to hear that. And you just finished watching The Lord of the Rings, so you're content. That's great. I love that. And hello, B525. Thank you for blessing us with a rose so early on. Hare Krishna. Hello, Abdin. I am doing well. Thank you for asking. How are you doing? I don't think I've ever watched The Hobbit, the prequel series to The Lord of the Rings. I should really do that. In fact, I think I talked about that a few weeks ago, and I told you all to remind me every day that I forget to watch it. Hello, Dee. I'm happy you like the sun hat, Christy. They are peak, shares Theodore. I really have to watch it now. Hello, BLND. Welcome. You all are very early. Small crowd. But that's nice and personal. I have a question of the day maybe some of you are interested in exploring together. Today my question of the day is, what is an example of seeing the good in something not so good? I'll let you think about it. Thank you, Loopy Elaine, for your friendship necklace. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Oh, thank you, Didi. I was listening to a Buddhist monk, Thich Nhat Hanh. He said that whenever we look at someone, we can offer 3 flowers. Each eye can be a flower, and our smile can be the 3rd flower. And our words can be like flowers for them too. We hold our hands together. That can be another flower. Bowing down is another flower. It's all about min-maxing the number of flowers we give someone. In this case, maxing. And thank you, Risi, for your dozen finger hearts. That's very kind of you. Hari Om Tat Sat. Yes, I am still interested in exploring this question. What is an example of seeing the good in something not so good? I'm especially interested in hearing from all of you. Jennifer, you share that you try your best to take not so good as a lesson, which is always good. I like that. Yeah, turning it into a lesson. Lessons are great. They can be difficult though. Blonde, you share, for my question, someone taking care of you while you're sick. I love that. Yeah, sometimes we have to let them take care of us too. Hello, Nikki. You're wondering, have I ever thought about saving my lives and uploading them somewhere? I have great news for you, Nikki. If you go into the link tree in my bio, you'll find a link to my YouTube channel where I've been doing that for the past 6 months. So they're all there for you already. JJ, you share finding opportunities for growth during challenging times. I love that too. That is absolutely an example of something good and something less good. And thank you, Risi, for your quartet of finger hearts as well. Finding bliss, you share that not so good means better days are coming. Yeah. It's an invitation for good things to come, though it may take time. Jennifer, you share that lessons are very difficult, but they help us grow. I agree. Hello, Auntie. You share understanding it's the choices that people make in their life and knowing that everyone is good. That's a very wonderful outlook you have. Doggy Life, you echo that. Yes, seeing it as a lesson and an opportunity for growth and greater understanding. I'm happy to direct you there, Nikki. Tricia, you share that you always find something good to ease one's heart of pain. Beautiful. I believe in you. You got a question for me, Kyron? Well, I don't know if my streaming software can let guests join because I'm not on my phone, actually. I'm on TikTok Live Studio. But you're welcome to ask the question in chat, and I'll do my best to understand and give my 2 cents. Theo, you believe that situations where something bad happens to you might cause something good for others. That's a very interesting way of looking at it. Yeah, it helps us bear some pain if we feel like we might help others. That makes sense to me. Jennifer, you shared that this was the question that your soul needed to answer today and face. Oh, well, you're very welcome. I'm happy to explore it together with you. Doom Knight, you share that people are a product of their experience. Yeah. And thank you, Laura, for your rose. Jai Sita Ram. Of course, BLND, you're always welcome to ask questions. Everyone is. And Takira, you share, when someone has anxiety and anger, then supporting them no matter what the circumstance. That can be tough, but it's really rewarding. And hello, Raccoon. Jennifer, you share that when your daughter was killed, you used your knowledge to help others. One life for maybe hundreds. It's a balance. one of the most difficult things to go through as a mother. And if there is a way of seeing the good in that, as difficult as it may be, that can be so healing. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, Sean, I love what you share. Fear is not good, but propels you to act for good. And thank you for being here, Trisha. And thank you, Spiritual Vibes. I am doing as well as I can be. Good morning, JP from the Philippines. Blonde, your question is, what is good? Yeah, I thought one of you might ask this. I'll leave that up to you. I'm only interested in how you like to interpret the question. But I understand that many people may interpret it in different ways. My interpretation of the word good is whenever there's something happening inclusively, that which without discrimination or prejudice, that which engages us in a unified sense of self, where we are one, and the opposite of that would be when we're engaging divisively, with separate senses of self, with our own needs in mind and not others. So goodness would challenge that. That's my 2 cents for you. And hello, dear Chloe Evans. And thank you, Awareness, for your 6 roses and a finger heart. There's one for you too. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Salutations to Ganesha, the remover of obstacles. And thank you, Woo Woo, for your heart, me too. Quinn Johnson, you share that your son's stepdad passed away at 34 in his sleep 7 days ago. How can we see the good in this? That's a very real example of where this question can be applied. I certainly invite others to join in, but at the same time, sometimes looking for the good too early can prevent us from the healing of grief. And in this time, grieving is a good thing that you can do. You don't have to rationalize it or validate it. You can just feel that in your heart, and over time it will get better, and you will learn to see the good in it. But when it's so recent, so fresh in the mind, it's challenging to do that. And I would encourage you to be patient with yourself until the time where it comes when it does feel more accessible to see the good. And it'll happen naturally. I know many people would prefer that when they pass in their sleep, so that it's not something they have to consciously go through. That way it might be more peaceful than being hyper aware of the process. Maybe that's something that helped. Otherwise, we can remember that people live on in different ways. That their address moves from their body to the hearts of their beloved. Whenever someone passes away, you could say that they're just moving. They're moving from this body into our heart. And so we can make that space in there nice and roomy and beautiful for them. And then we can direct love into our own heart whenever we feel like we're missing the opportunity to communicate with them. Thank you, Tatvamasi, for your heart me. Jai Nisargadatta, Maharaj, and Eileen Kimberly, thank you for your rose. And Orla, you shared that in the worst of times, a positive thing can be allowing oneself to just be sad. Make it an entire vibe. I love that. Yeah. And Chloe, you shared that with your grandfather dying, one good thing is he's not in pain anymore. That's a big thing too. And thank you, Quinn, for your lovely rose, cloud bread, ice cream cone, community fest, rose, cloud bread, ice cream cone, and a community fest, and a rose and a cloud bread, and an ice cream cone, and a community fest, and a rose and a cloud bread, and an ice cream cone, and a community fest, and a rose and a cloud bread, and an ice cream cone. Thank you, dear. Any help that I do is merely a gift that I receive by being witness to an unfolding that is already taking place within you. Thank you. Radhe Radhe. Salutations to the Divine Mother. And Tatvam Asi, thank you for your pair of team bracelets. Almost said roses. Jennifer, thank you for your pair of roses too. Hari Om Tat Sat. And hello, Farming Sarah. And Bella, you share that your negative experiences made you realize you're going into the right field for college. That's very affirming. I like that. And Trisha, you share with the passing of a loved one. They leave beautiful memories for us to cherish and pass on. I love that. I'm going to pause our reading of these questions of the day. So I thank you very much for providing me with such beautiful insight into this question. I really cherish what you share. And I'm really honored to be surrounded by such experienced people. Sarah, you share that your hands are throbbing. So much work this week. Finally Friday. Oh, well done. You've definitely earned Friday. Freddie Mercury's cat, you had asked, at what age was I when my spiritual path started, and are my parents religious? And you also share, may peace be with me. Thank you. My parents were not religious, though my father was agnostic. That is to say, he didn't know what to believe. And my mother was generally spiritual. She kind of believed in everything. So I had a very interesting duality. My father didn't know what to believe. My mother believed in a little bit of everything. So what did that make me? Well, that makes me believe in everything and nothing all at the same time, I guess. I feel like my spiritual path had no beginning per se. If you wanted to have a beginning, maybe as soon as I was born, I was on the path. We're all on it, right? But there were some experiences throughout my life that kind of opened me up to it in a more conscious way. all throughout my childhood, little bits and pieces. When you look back on it, it's like, wow, you can really see that was an opening experience, even if I didn't realize it at the time. It has been a continuum of openings, and I expect many more. Thank you, Daniel, for your sunglasses and heart me. Jai Sitaram. Devil awesome, you are wondering. Wasn't I a mathematician? I was never a mathematician. I had no credentials to be doing anything under that title. But I was a math enthusiast. I was very enthusiastic about math, definitely. And you might remember me from my videos that I made on math. But my passion has changed forms, and instead of searching for equations between esoteric objects and higher dimensions, I'm looking for an equality between us beings. I feel like everything that I got out of math, I get out of positive interaction now with others. So I like to begin my lives with a question of the day and a short reading. I would love to read another section of In Love at Ease. Actually, the Not Your Average Meditation music is uploaded. It's on my YouTube channel still. But I did take it down for many months, but it's back up. I hope you know. We're almost done this book now. We only have a dozen pages left or so, and then I may be interviewing the author. The author has tentatively agreed to work through some, even though they're doing a PhD dissertation, so they're very busy, and they've had a social media hiatus for a year now or so, but they're making an exception for me, which is really precious, and not just for me, for all of you, because I mentioned that I have been reading this book to all of you, and you've had questions, and what better person to ask these questions than the one who wrote the book, the one who was so close to Swamishri, the protagonist of this book, you could say. All right. We are very close to ending the 5th chapter, the last chapter, At Ease, of In Love at Ease. And we're talking about how Swamishri was at ease even in the final moments of his life when he passed away, and the years before that. Narayan Charandas Swami and Yog Vivek Das Swami recall that no matter how sick or weak Swamishri was, he never refused to go out to give darshan, viewing presents, to his bhaktas, his devotees. When the monks cautioned that he was tired and should wait a few days, Swamishri argued, "The bhaktas that come from all abroad will leave. They have come all the way from Mumbai, Delhi, New York, London, and elsewhere. Why not just go out for a few minutes? I do not have to walk. You are taking me in a wheelchair." Swamishri's health seemed to magically improve when someone suggested meeting his bhaktas. One morning, Swamishri was falling asleep in his wheelchair. The sadhus decided to postpone darshan. Later that afternoon, Swamishri asked why they had not gone out to give darshan. "You were sleeping in the chair." Swamishri shot back, "So? I would have slept in the wheelchair outside. That way I at least could have fulfilled my bhakta's wishes, and I could have had a glimpse of them too." Swamishri often came out to give darshan while dozing due to fatigue and side effects from his medications, but he insisted on coming nonetheless. He was not worried about what people would say. All that mattered was that he was serving and seeing the divine through his bhaktas. Hello, aesthetically feral. Swamishri's sense of humor did not diminish as his health waned. Yog Vivek Das Swami, one of Swamishri's medical attendants, was also charged with making Swamishri laugh and joke. Laughter is the best medicine, after all. He notes in his personal diary that not a single day passed in the last 3 years when Swamishri did not joke, laugh, or flash a meek smile. Even when he did not have the energy to participate in a joke, Swamishri always acknowledged the sadhu's humor. Pardon me. The doctors collected Swamishri's blood samples every 2 weeks in Sarangpur to send to Ahmedabad for detailed analysis. One afternoon, Swamishri was feeling unwell, and the environment in that room was tense. Yog Vivek Das Swami silently drew the blood and labeled the containers. He raised the bag up to Swamishri and said, "It is that time again. I am sending the blood to Ahmedabad." Swamishri mumbled, "All the way to Ahmedabad? Does it fetch a better price there?" Swamishri faintly smiled at Yog Vivek Das Swami as all the sadhus in the room laughed. Swamishri's wit was as sharp as ever during those years. One evening, Swamishri was waiting for Yog Vivek Das Swami to finish measuring his blood pressure so that he could move to his bed. The sadhus and the medical team had a popular practice of repeating Swamishri's pulse and blood pressure to him in English and Gujarati. Swamishri would usually repeat or respond after they had said it in Gujarati. As Yog Vivek Das Swami loosened the cuff on Swamishri's arm, he said in English, 116. Swamishri smiled and said, Nijatmanam Brahma Rupam Dehatraya Vilakshanam. Swamishri was reciting the 116th verse of the Shikshapatri, spiritual scripture. Swamishri recited one of the most important verses from the text, which speaks of Atmanishta, the ability to abide in one's true self. Translates to, I am the Atman within which God resides. I am separate from this mortal body. Swamishri was at ease because he was always in touch with his inner self, his Atman. And let's pause our reading of In Love at Ease there for now. So thank you for listening. And now we can open up the floor to discuss whatever is on your hearts and minds. With those introductory segments out of the way, we can have our Sangha in full force. Anything we'd like to discuss, perhaps inspired by the reading, if you'd like, or if you have any questions that arose from the reading, I'd be happy to pass them on to Yogi, the author, if I get the chance to interview him. Thank you, Angela, for your rose. We have a larger audience now, so I welcome you all. If anyone's new, I'd love for you to introduce yourself. I'd love to get to know you. Or more generally, how are you feeling, everyone? What kind of emotions can we accommodate here? And I don't think I saw that message clink, but you said hello. Well, hello back to you. Nice to have you here. I love the diversity in our Sangha. Diversity is what makes life so rich. When you see a beautiful garden, it's not because any particular flower is planted there, but because there's such a rich diversity in all of the flowers and plants. Jace, you shared that you're frustrated with anger. That's allowed. Definitely. You're frustrated with anger? You're frustrated at your anger? Or you're angry and frustrated at the same time? Sometimes it can be either or, you know. Our emotions can have emotions about other emotions. We can be feeling sad that we're feeling guilty. Or we can feel guilty that we're feeling sad. But yeah, that's allowed. All of the above makes sense to me. Well, if you ever want to talk about it, I'd be happy to listen. Starlight, you feel appreciation. That's a nice feeling. What you feeling appreciative for? I'd love to know that too. Thank you, Heaven Bound, for your heartbeat. Hari Om Tat Sat. All this is the truth. Hello, Vita. I'm happy you like my mother's sun hat. Hello, Indecisive Jane. Welcome. Rhiannon, you share. For you, you're wondering if it's just Canada going through intense struggles right now, or if it's others. There's a lot of struggling happening around the world, I feel. Yeah, being in Canada, I feel it. I think this is a time where a lot of people are processing the change that's been happening within the last few years. I've noticed that in my personal life, almost everyone I know has had something big happen to them. Something has really changed for them in the last year, and I think people are still adjusting to all those changes. And thank you, Tony, for your 10 roses. Welcome. Quiero, you ask, how to see beyond normal? I guess you get a telescope or a microscope. No, what do you mean by normal? Would you like to see the paranormal? I'd love to know. Angela, you shared that in a situation where frustration abounds, caring for elderly mom with dementia, and you're thankful for this. That does sound like a situation that can give rise to lots of frustration. Yeah, dementia's a really hard thing to process. I'm sure you're doing as best as you can, and that's enough. Rhiannon, you interpret Quiero's question as how to strengthen your third eye, maybe. Well, sure, we can play with that idea. Our third eye represents our ability to see the good in everything around us. That is actually why I phrased the question of the day today as I did. My question was, what's an example of seeing the good in something not so good? That's because today is the 6th day of the week, and also I correlate that with the 6th chakra, which is the third eye. Anyway, to me the third eye represents all about divine vision, which means seeing the divine within everyone and everything. And we can do that by learning about really what the divine represents. Sometimes we abstractify the divine into some concept, just some idea that may or may not be true. But with the right knowledge, we can really realize that the divine is a really practical and imminent part of our reality, like the potential within everyone to succeed. That's the divine. And if you look around you and you see the potential in everyone to succeed, then you have a divine vision. Third eye's working just well. Thank you, Michelle. Happy Third Eye Friday. And Vita, you were wondering, what is a big change that I'm adjusting to? There's been a lot in my life. My parents separating this year has been a big one. My medication, going on and off medication is a adjustment for the body. I had a hard time last night. I tried to go 2 days without my sleep medication. Right now I've been going a day on, a day off, and I was feeling a little bold, and I tried to go 2 days without my sleep medication instead of just one. And that was a mistake. It was a learning experience. By the time 8 a.m. rolled around and I still hadn't gone to sleep, I thought, okay, I should probably take some medication. Thank you, MSJ Mookie. Naomi, you ask, how do you care less about your ex? Aw. That's a sweet question, actually. Well, if by care you mean let go of the love you had for them, I hate to break it to you. This heart, ancient hardware, takes a long time to transition between feelings. The heart the love that's in the heart, it's not going anywhere for quite some time. But that's okay, because we can assist it in the process of grieving. Even if you were the one to break up with them, there's still grief. Because having to come up with that determination to break up means that we have to face that they're not the person that we thought we were falling in love with. They're not the person that we want to continue having this relationship with. So there's a grief in letting go, in the loss of the version of them we had in our heart. And that love that's in our heart for that never goes away, in my opinion. But it does change into different things. And that takes time. For example, what we love in someone that we've lost, we can begin to find that within others. And we can begin to find that within ourselves too. Thus, the heart still loves everything that it fell in love with. All these aspects of the person just now found in different places. Especially ourselves. Jake, you had asked, how did I quit the ganja? For me, it was really easy because I started to get terrible panic attacks during smoking cannabis. So it was as easy as not wanting to have a panic attack again. You know, it's like hold up whatever my instrument was to partake in this. And for me in Canada, it's legal. And I'd ask, do I really want to have an anxiety attack? And if the answer is no, then I should put the thing down, right? So it's been something like 5 years since I even picked it up. And for me, it was the easiest thing in the world. Because if you disrespect the medicine, if you use it for entertainment or for just feeling good, then it'll start disrespecting you. Because it's a very powerful psychoactive drug. And for me, my tolerance was so low, even after smoking for years, that it started to become like a psychedelic trip every time. So I didn't want to go through such intense experiences like that. I really wanted to be sober. There's nothing like a clear mind with no substances interacting with it. I have a story from one of my my friends that I used to smoke with, as he would get this his marijuana from a certain dealer. And the dealer was notoriously like such a big stoner. He would smoke every day. And one day he forgot to smoke. He was so high that he forgot to smoke. And he thought that he became even higher. He was like, what is this new sensation? What is this ability to just be so here right now, so present? What drug did I take? He had been high for so long that he forgot how beautiful it feels to be sober, to not be high. And he had like a change of heart. He was like, this is great. I want to be like this every day. And so, suffice to say, my friend had to find a new dealer because his dealer stopped. He let it all go because he loved the feeling of not being high. And he'd forgotten how beautiful that feeling was, really. And thank you, John F., for your heart, mate. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Busy Bee, thank you for your pair of roses. Jake, you're wondering, what if you feel like using it brings you closer to God in a sense and allows you to remember Him? If you were really close to God, then you'd be with Him always. In fact, the definition of seeing God is it's that which can't be unseen. So if this closeness comes and goes, it's not the real thing. It can give you an impression for what to look for. But at some day we have to look for that ourselves and find the real thing. Otherwise we can get glimpses, but it will never be the full darshan, the full experience of the ultimate. And all these receptors in our brain, the cannabinoid receptors, they're also fired by our endocannabinoid system. Some people don't know this, but all cannabinoids do that we find in other plants is they fill in for our endocannabinoids, the cannabinoids that are generated by our own system. Like, for example, it's all the same feelings that you had when you were a child, but yet you didn't need to go anywhere else to get it. The whole faculty to produce this experience is inside you. No need to substitute it. You can truly be high on life with the right mindset, lifestyle, behavioral patterns. Thank you, Gole, for your rose. Glitter Parade, you share that you just sent me a couple pics of you and your rat, and you can tell that you're really high. Well, of course, taking care of such precious beings, it elevates our state of mind. I very much look forward to seeing your lovely rat. Mr. Mate, you're wondering, do I exercise? You hear it helps for slumber. I don't really exercise, no, but thank you for reminding me of some of the benefits of exercise. Normally I spend my days in service to you, and you specifically, everyone here. As soon as I wake up, really, I go through my messages, and then I go live, and then after I'm done, I upload the live and the segments, and I respond to the messages, and I go to bed. My day is dedicated to all of you, so I've been having trouble doing things outside of that. Shakira, you share that you did really enjoy smoking, but it feels counterproductive to your lifestyle. Well, don't feel guilty for any habit that you're involved in now. As you continue to bring your mind to higher and higher things, all of our handholds, all of our footholds, they drop away and we become groundless as our wings unfurl, and we can fly without external support. I look forward to it, Michelle. And thank you, Giuliano, for your community fest. Good afternoon, Crossfires. Thank you. My day has been well so far. Hello, Cryptic Canuck. Nice to have you back. 'Tis well. 'Tis well. Tat Sat, you ask. How do I control anger? You struggle with it sometimes. Anger, like all emotions, cannot be controlled literally. There's some words that we're shortening here. And as an abbreviation, we might say we can control our emotions, our feelings. But perhaps a more detailed statement would be that we can control our own reaction to the emotion. In some sense, the emotion is a reaction to external circumstance. But there's a whole other level of the reaction that is in our control. The emotion arises in response to the environment. Not much we can do about that. If you're in a situation which gives rise to anger, you're in a situation that gives rise to anger. But you don't have to react out of your anger. And I think that's the catch. It's just easy to go by the default programming. That the default reaction to anger is either losing our patience or raising our voice or crossing someone's boundaries because they've crossed ours. But there's a gap in between the emotion arising and what we choose to do with it. It's in that gap that there's freedom. I think freedom might be a better word here than control. Control makes us bigger than something, but freedom means that we are not controlled by something. The easy thing to do, of course, is to raise our voice or lose our patience or cross someone's boundary as they crossed ours. But it's possible to acknowledge that we're feeling angry and then walk out of the room because of it. Or take a break from the conversation. Say, can we skip this subject? Can we come back to this, And even just explaining that you're angry. You can say, this is kind of making me angry. Is it okay if we do something different? I think that's very respectable. Or at the very least, it's so much more respectable than just acting out of the anger without acknowledging it. I think this understanding can make it easier, but it's still not easy. The sun is lowering. I gotta tilt the angle of my of my hat. So I would recommend, when a feeling does arise, acknowledge it, communicate it to whoever needs to, and then either take yourself out of that situation or vocalize a change in direction. Because acting out of anger is not good for anyone involved, except for some, circumstances where it's absolutely your right to act out of anger, Like if someone is hurting you, anger can be a great defense, as long as we don't try to hurt them back, just to get them out of our boundaries that they've crossed, to uphold our boundaries. Anger can be used, but not to cross other people's boundaries. And thank you, Human Power to All, for your rose. I love your username. Love is the true way you share. That's beautiful. Thank you. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Chris, thank you for your rose. It's very kind of you. Jai Sitaram. Marcy, you share, please have sunscreen on. Oh, should I tell you? I'm not wearing sunscreen right now. But only this section is in the sun right now. But I appreciate you caring for my skin. Hello, Dansuela. I think there's a weed whacker in the background. I hope it's not too distracting for you. Jay, you ask, do I find it difficult to be in service to all as much as I am? You feel called to service yourself. Well, if I ever forget to give service to myself also, then yes. And sometimes I do forget that, admittedly. It's a difficult balance because we want to help others, and then sometimes we sacrifice our own well-being, and then we redirect that to ourselves, and then we get carried away with that, and we sacrifice others' well-being, and then there's this funny cycle of being kind to others until we forget to be kind to ourselves, and then being kind to ourselves until we forget to be kind to others. I'm still learning this. I think we all are in some way. Yeah. But service to others is the most meaningful thing in my life. Because, I just love being a part of this universe. I don't get it. I don't get why we woke up as conscious blobs of flesh on this rock floating through the void. I don't fully understand all the history and evolution that came here, and all these civilizations that have arisen and fallen, and our ancestors, and all the wars they had to fight, and all of the religions and philosophies and belief systems that disagree. I don't get it. It's confusing. But you know what? Something does make sense to me, and that's at least being kind. It's the one thing that makes sense to me, just being there, listening, being patient as much as I can. That helps me feel like I'm a part of this universe, and the only capacity I can be, really. And thank you, Amanda, for your rose. Radhe Radhe. And Chase, thank you for your pair of tiny tinies. Yippee! And Robbie, thank you for your heart, me too. Shakira, you share that your advice to quit smoking is just that it saves you money. Addictions can be expensive, yeah. Sleepy Panda Baby, you're wondering, have I ever had an ego death? And that's funny, Shakira. Yeah, I have the opposite. I'm getting an opposite of a mask tan. My mask area will be tanned. Have I ever had an ego death? Well, I've certainly thought I have. But who's the one thinking that they've had one? That's just the ego. So my ego says I've died. Well, I got some news for my own ego. If it thinks it's died, it's still very much alive. But my sense of self definitely goes through periods of change and transformation. I think versions of ourself absolutely, I wouldn't even say die. I would say they dissolve. They dissolve and they take the form of something different, and I think our sense of self is constantly evolving and becoming closer and closer to something all-inclusive, something less selfish and more selfless. But I've got a long way to go still. Now, Marcy, you have some great tips for getting away from smoking, and I will read them out because I think they're very good. I love your insights, Marcy. We can mimic every part of smoking we can, carry a crafted object of similar weight. A Mentos container of coins has worked. Some use a flavored toothpick-filled straw. Oh, that's very interesting. You can inhale a flavor through the straw, but with far less effects to your health. Very true. If you enjoy the smoke, use a nicotine-free vape. Raz is a wonderful stepping stone for yourself. I love what insights. That's 4 to 5. I patiently await your 5th. And you know, how did you figure out that it was going to take 5? Even from the beginning, you said it was 1 out of 5. How did you know that it would fit within 5? That's very curious. Sleepy Panda Baby, you share that your sense of self has gone astray and you're having trouble finding joy in your old interests. That's okay. My life, my interests have changed so dramatically, even within the span of just a few years. When I was a boy, I wanted to grow up to be an inventor. That's all I wanted to do was be an inventor. And in middle school, I really wanted to be an astrophysicist. And then in high school, I really wanted to be a computer programmer. And then after that, I really wanted to be a particle physicist and a mathematician. And yeah, so many things that I used to do in my free times, they've changed. We're just growing as people. And sometimes we go back to interests, and other times we find the same interest in other interests. What I mean by that is, by a certain thing that we like to participate in, there's an aspect of it that we're interested in. We can find that aspect in other things, just in a change of perspective. For example, I don't feel like my interests have ever changed from one perspective. When I was a child wanting to be an inventor to an adolescent wanting to be a mathematician, I've just changed the kind of things I wanted to invent. At first it was machines and gadgets and gizmos, but then it turned into equations and theories and models. And now, as my interests have shifted from mathematics to primarily spiritual ones, my ability to look for unity and equality within structures in mathematics have come to structures in human life and perspectives and belief systems. So there's an element within each transitory period of life, transition of life, that continues. So there's a core aspect of ourself that never changes. And I hope that Keeping that in mind makes you feel like your sense of self in some way has always been stable, at least in one aspect. On the periphery, there's lots of change, absolutely. I like that, Lando. Sometimes, too, you just need a break. Then you come back to it with rebirthed interest. And true, really, you're still the same kid playing with your Star Wars Legos, setting up battles and planets. I love that. Marcy, you share 5 out of 5. And if you think it's cool or it's a social habit, cut those individuals out until you can handle proximity to your preferred poison. Maybe you like my mother's sun hat, Alex. And Kara, you're wondering if I can share some Sanskrit words tonight. Sure. What's a good Sanskrit word? How about, it's a good one. Sharanagati. 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 Sharanagati is what, you know how we use karma karma to describe the law of the material world, that the entire universe is built on just one law, and that's karma. That applies for the world of physics, the world of body, of mind, the world of objects. That if you want to be successful in the world, we have to abide by karma. The complement of that word is Sharanagati. That's the law that runs the inner world, the spirit, our consciousness, our awareness. If we want to be successful in what we are, not just what we can do in the world, then we have to practice good Sharanagati. Whereas karma translates to action in reference to its fruits, the consequences. Sharanagati refers to surrender in reference to acceptance. Sharanagati is a more powerful law than karma, which means that you could have all the karma in the universe, but with the right Sharanagati, you can be peaceful, you can be happy. This is a beautiful point that I believe is not taught enough. We feel like to truly be happy in the world, we have to eliminate all our bad karma and try to cultivate good karma. And although that's true on the physical level, on the spiritual level, all you need is Sharanagati. Then it doesn't matter if you have good karma, bad karma, or any combination. If you have surrender to this moment, if you have unconditional acceptance, non-judgment, then you are free totally in spirit. You might be in a pickle in the world, but as long as you are free in spirit, it doesn't matter. Because spirit is your true essence. The world is just the mirror. So that's my Sanskrit word of the day today. Sharanagati. Now thank you. Thank you, Robbie, for your heart me you sent a minute ago. And Anazek, thank you for your pair of roses. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Gulay, thank you for your pair of roses too. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And Gina, thank you for your community fast and rose. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. And Jay, thank you for your W. You're 5 of them, in fact. I've done it again. I've made a knot out of my manjira, But it's not a real knot, though it seems like one. Actually, if we pull tightly, it doesn't get tighter, it will loosen. It's like magic. It's an unknot. It's true, Gregor. Sometimes knots that we find ourselves in life are like this too. We can feel like we've been twisted around, pulled up into a circle, loop tightened. Got all these cusps. And that if we keep tightening ourselves in this mess, and we'll cut our head off or something. But eventually, something slips and you realize you were never knotted, you were never tied down in the first place. All the ropes fall off, you are free. Thank you, John F., for your friendship necklace and your tiny dine. Yippee! Hello, Marina. I love your insights, Lando. I love your insights on the nature of quitting smoking, Marcy. Lebani Home, you had asked, how do I become interested in the spiritual and esoteric? For me, it was a natural progression because I, for example, have always been interested in the way things work. I wanted to deconstruct all my electronics, a watch, a clock. I'd break everything to open it up to see how it worked. I was very destructive. When I got to know that somewhere in the world they were breaking open atoms, literal atom smashers, to figure out what was inside them, I thought, wow, I really want to know how that works. When I discovered that mathematics and theory can break things open without being destructive, wow, I really wanted to know how that works. When I discovered that the universe was seemingly built on mathematics, I really wanted to know how that works. And then when I opened up mathematics to discover that it was built on this logic of symbol manipulation, I really wanted to know how that works. I just kept going to the core. How does this work? How does this work? I keep opening up different layers and depths. And eventually, that method of inquiry leads you to spirituality. It's a very different kind of spirituality than the one that you might associate with crystals and chakras and astrology and tarot cards. It's a kind of deep questioning at the level of the ultimate reality, something they call jnana yoga, which is the pursuit of spiritual knowledge, the ultimate answers to life, the universe, and everything, at the level of consciousness, at the level of spirit. So it was a natural evolution from my childhood urge to understand how everything worked, and discovering that you could say that this universe is built on physics is built on math is built on logic, but logic is built on this kind of conscious inquiry. Consciousness itself is the foundation of this whole reality. That's what the ultimate conclusion is. Takes a while to get there, though. I love that, Kara. You always focus on your effort, not the outcome, because results may be out of your control. So be, and that's the essence of karma yoga. the three great yogas. Jnana Yoga, the yoga of knowledge, spiritual inquiry. Karma Yoga, the yoga of action, of unified, prayerful activity. And then there's Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of devotion, of loving reverence for Creator and creation. They go very much hand in hand. And Eileen, you share that you would love to sit in the sun right now. Oh, well, I'm happy to have you virtually here in the sun with me. Now, Tin Man, you were wondering if I had any tips on how to heal from deep grief. 1 year ago, your wife passed. Actually, deep grief is how you heal. Deep grief is what it takes to get all of that love that was stored up and finally get it out. It's only natural that as we love someone, we start coming up with all sorts of things to do with them and for them, all sorts of experiences to have together. And our heart keeps a record of that, even if we might mentally forget. Grief is the process of opening the seal of the heart and letting all the love that was stored up there out. Talking about it, crying, singing, dancing, some creative practice. If the two of you brought some life into this world, I don't know, then take that love and give it there, or give it to anything that the two of you created that you still have. When it comes to loss of a loved one, it is just their body which goes, and we are left without their physical presence, but we still have their conscious presence. And finding the right receptacle to love is difficult. But you get that love out there. You grieve. Let all the feelings arise. Emotions are not proof that you're not healed. They are the healing process. But much love to you. And I hope that you find the spirit of your wife everywhere you go, so that you never feel lost from her. And hello, dear Priscilla. And Dominic, you share that you're grieving at the moment over the loss of your mother. Wow. There's a lot of people grieving here today. And that's okay. That's okay. We're all in this together. All of us, part of humanity. We all know what it's like to love and lose. Part of the human experience. And thank you, Upsam, for your rose. Hari Om Tat Sat. Crossfires, you share you're going to the beach in Florida next week, but it's going to rain all week. Oh well, still going. Perhaps that'll be a lovely experience for you. I hope it's nice warm rain. I don't know if I've ever really just hung out on the beach while it was raining. I think that'd be a very beautiful moment. Rain can be so healing, washing away our worries. Madeline's, you live in Florida, and it is rainy. Well, at least you're getting an authentic experience. Billy Joe, you've had a loss of relationship and swore you'd never be vulnerable and love again. I think we've all been there, or we all will be there. Yeah. But it can be so healing to be vulnerable again. Anita, you also can vouch for Madeline. It's pouring there. Oh boy. Who knows? Maybe the sun will open up for you, but I don't want to raise your expectations. Good evening, Miranda. Welcome. Thank you, Doug, for your octet of roses. Carry her love with you everywhere. Thank you, Gole, for your rose too. Radhe, Radhe. And thank you, Billy Joe, for your rose. Now, you know what I'd love to do with you all? If you let me, I'd like to treat you to a poem from this book of poetry. I think it would make a nice interim. Thank you, dear Madeleines, for your 16 roses. Om Kring Kalikaye Namaha. Hello, G2 Infinity. You love Rumi? Gulai, I'm happy to hear that. Yes, Rumi is a great poet from the 1200s. Let's crack open a random one. Well, we've read that one before. This one's called When Sand Suffices by Rumi. When you have no cleansing water, sand suffices. The Prophet gave this rule to those in need, and still it continues. Do you know why, O faithful ones? Listen to the truth. The wise reveal. Often in the desert, water is unseen, but for the traveler, sand abounds. From the desert I will guide, the one who calls me guide, to the place where living waters flow. To the garden love encompasses. There, bathe in abundance, drought dispelled, for once you've washed in that stream, the need for sand disappears. Freed from any method, purely by spirit you'll be ruled. O Master, your exalted soul has seen the truth through every veil. When sand suffices. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here, Doug, and thank you for sharing your blessings. And I love that challenge for everyone today, Matt. You think everyone here should go hug someone they love. I like that. I think I'm home alone right now, so I'll have to hug you all. Oh, bring it in close, bring it in close. It's gonna be alright. Billy Joe, you're wondering, what does it mean? Oh, I can't tell you. A poem is for you to digest and let the meaning sink deep into your own soul. I'd be spoiling it. When sand suffices. Did you know that most deserts in the world, they have so much sand because there used to be an ocean there many years ago, sometimes millions of years ago. I believe that most of the sand of the Sahara Desert is from the decayed diatoms of an ocean long before diatoms are responsible for most of the world's oxygen. We think it's trees and plants, but actually scientists have discovered that diatoms, these oceanic single-cell organisms, create the majority, or at least the biggest significant portion of the oxygen in the world. And when they die, their silicon-like shells sink to the bottom of the ocean floor, and it piles up, turns into sand. And as continents change, sea levels change relative to the continents, now we have whole ocean beds that have become deserts, like the Sahara Desert. And all of those decayed diatoms, the wind picks them up and sends them over the Atlantic Ocean, and they fall onto the South American continent. And there we find the most fertile grounds of anywhere. The biggest jungle, the Amazon, though it's being cut down day by day. The Amazon has such nourished soil due to all of the diatoms that have flown over from the Sahara Desert. Isn't that wonderful, all the interconnectedness of life? I remember hearing Will Smith narrate that in a nature documentary, and it always stuck with me. Maybe you heard that one too. Isabella, you heard about something like that once. I'm happy we can relate in that. I'm happy we had that group hug. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Tibishore, for your heart me. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. Hello, Joel. And thank you, Brandon, for your rose. It's very kind of you. Much love, Joel. We have many more people here than we did a little while ago. How are you all doing? I'm interested in hearing from those who I haven't heard from yet. Especially if you're new. Don't be shy. You can if you want. I won't bite either way. Thank you, Savannah, for your pair of roses. I'd like to know what feelings, what emotions to accommodate in this space. Alana, you are feeling content. I'm happy to hear that. It's a good way to feel. God is love. You share there was 111 people when you looked. It's a nice number too. Did you know that that 111 is a multiple of 37? You just don't think about it. But yeah. It makes for a great magic trick. If you ask someone what their favorite digit is, let's say it's 6. Alright. You take 666 and you divide it by the sum of the digits, 6 plus 6 plus 6. Chances are you'll get 37. Chances are pretty good. In fact, mathematics is not one built on chance, really. The answer is indeed 37. No matter what number you start with. Lacey Maddox, you're feeling relaxed. Oh, good. Isabella, you're also feeling relaxed. It's been a long day. And my dear Priscilla from Brazil is feeling loved. Oh, good. Opa. And Gulai, thank you for your rose. Loopy Lane, you come here for calm. Well, I'll do my best to host a space which is conducive to calmness. Thank you for providing me the opportunity to. Michelle, you're eating spaghetti in a bowl, not spaghetti on a plate. That sounds delicious. Born by lightning, thank you for your trio of roses. Your quartet of roses, in fact. Jai Satchitanandam. Not this time, no. And how is your cough, Priscilla? Do you feel like it's finally gone away? And Kiefer. You'll have to tell me how to pronounce your name. You're doing well. You spent the day driving your new car. It's been 2 years without. The freedom warms your soul. I love that. I think people can have the most beautiful relationships with their car. I think that's so sweet. It's important to have a good relationship with the vehicle that takes us to the places we need to go. And that's especially true for our body also. Our fleshy vehicle with 2 feet. Yes, your cough has gone away. I'm happy to hear that, Bree. God is love, you share a wish. Let us send our energy for this wish to come true, I hope. You wish you could overcome your paranoid thoughts. You're always in fight or flight mode. I believe this wish is achievable for you. I remember being with my friend Macy, and we went to this garden that had a wishing well. And she stood up to the well, and it's like everyone around just stopped and looked at Macy. It was this beautiful moment, and she dropped her coin in the well. And after a few moments of silence, this man with this beautiful deep voice said, "Your wish will come true. I felt it." And it was just like the voice of God spoke through him at that moment. I wish to convey that to you. God is love. Your wish will come true. I have felt it. You know, the opposite of fight or flight is rest and digest. Fight or flight describes the sympathetic nervous system. Rest and digest describes the parasympathetic nervous system. Even these names are really useful if you think about it. If you have nothing to fight, nothing to flee from, if you give yourself some rest and something to digest, tells your body that you're allowed to be vulnerable here. Hello, Third Eye Willie. Thank you for sharing your blessings. Loopy Lane, you rarely see me hydrate. Naughty Yam, you called me Naughty Yam. That's what they called me in high school. I'm just kidding. Here, I'll hydrate for you. Dylan, you're wondering, do I still practice mathematics? You loved those videos. I'm so happy that you loved those videos. I've recently unprivated one of them. It's there. It's my math video on how to create your own mathematical universe. I thought that was a pretty good one. One that didn't require provoking you or criticizing someone. Would seem to be a common theme if you go back in hindsight on my videos. Anyway, I haven't practiced math in a while, but I have had the urge to come up within the last week. I was thinking about something called the chair problem. If you have a chair with 4 legs of equal length and a bumpy surface, there's the chair theorem, the 4-leg chair theorem, which states that you'll always find a way to rotate this chair such that it becomes stable. This became practical for me as I was setting up a chair to go live the other day, and the ground was bumpy. I just kept rotating a little bit at a time until it was the perfect combination. And it's a beautiful theorem. It's a really practical theorem also. But I was thinking about it because there's another unsolved problem that I never connected before, and I don't know if anyone has connected it before, and I'd like to explore. That's a solved problem, but there's an unsolved problem that could relate, and maybe it would help solve that problem. The unsolved problem is the 4 points on a curve making a perfect square problem. I forget the name for it. Oftentimes math problems don't have a short name. This problem states that any smooth curve that connects back on itself like a loop, you're able to find 4 points on it that make a perfect square. And it sounds counterintuitive, but no one's been able to disprove it. No one's been able to prove it either. Every curve they've checked, and there's infinite varieties, we have found 4 points that make a square. But I was thinking, well, how can we make a transformation between these two problems? For example, if it's true that regardless of your 2D surface, you can start anywhere and there will be 4 points that are level, that make a level table. I wonder if we can draw a curve around that surface and then show that any curve can have 4 points that make a square too. Just an idea. I don't know if it works out, but I think there might be some relationship between these two problems. And one is solved, the other is unsolved. I thought I'd take a stab at it whenever I have a free moment, but I've been doing other stuff. Any mathematician listening? That's something to think about. Raccoon Hauler, you ask, but what if the left side and the right side are opposite in large degrees? Good question. It's not that you'll always find a position where the table is level, but you'll find a position where all 4 points make contact with the ground. So, and by the way, this assumes that the table has infinite height. Because you could imagine you could have a spike coming up from the ground, and the top of the table is just dangling over the spike, and you'll never have a point where all 4. So a table is just kind of an analogy. What we mean is if you have 4 points on a circle, is there a way where you can move them such that all 4 points make contact? And this is applicable for situations where you have a table whose 4 legs are all at the same level and whose top doesn't interfere with the problem. But yeah, always in the real world it's not always easy to fit the conditions, the perfect theoretical conditions of the problem. There's all these assumptions, like the feet of the table are infinitesimal points, and that the surface is one continuous manifold. But sometimes it works out in the real world too. Now thank you, God is Love, for your community heart and hand hearts that you sent a moment ago. Here's some hand hearts for you. And did I thank you, Tibishore, for your ice cream? I can't remember if I did. I know I thanked you for your heart me. My gratitude remains for you. Jai Sitaram. And John F., thank you for your flowers. Hare Krishna. And Gule, thank you for your rose. Math requires a good math teacher. Well, every subject requires a good teacher. But math is so abstract and divisive at times that it's hard to accommodate all the different learning curves that individual students need respectively. Hello, the Dennis. You're wondering which country am I in, if it's okay to ask. I'm comfortable sharing, it's okay. I'm in Canada, also known as North Mexico for Americans. The land of the igloos, clearly. Caro, you shared that you love that you're heavily tattooed, but you still worry about the judgment sometimes. Well, you don't have to worry about the judgment from me. I think the way people decorate their body can be beautiful. And I love that there's so many memories associated with it. Lots of fun, sometimes pain and tears. They often can have deep meanings, or otherwise just show your interest, something you love or something you find silly. Aw. Orla, you tried following along to my newly unprivated video. You got halfway, and you'll keep trying slowly. You saved it to a new folder you're calling Math, I guess. I love that. I think math can really be fun. Crossfires, you share that math literally seemed to open your mind up to other things. Well, that's what math has done for me. I spent many a night scribbling away at equations and thinking about the nature of things in terms of math, and it's a beautiful language in and of itself. Some people say it's the language of the universe. Hello, Melissa. Orla, you share that you think if you had been taught math the way I did from the jump, it would feel much easier now. Aw, I appreciate that. I had a lot of wonderful teachers, and I had many terrible teachers. Oh, math class has been one of my least favorite classes throughout my life, but it's what they don't teach you. I think that's my catchphrase for math. It's what they don't teach you. That's really cool. It's also what they don't teach you that's pretty useless. But sometimes, you can play a video game, you can have fun, you can draw. Is that going to help your life in a direct way? Not in terms of let's say your physical health, but your mental well-being. Oh my goodness, absolutely, yes. We should keep our body exercised, and we should keep our mind exercised also. Math is a great way in which we can exercise our mind. Thank you, Goulet, for your pair of roses. Welcome back, Savannah. John F., you shared that your boyfriend was big into the math stuff. Well, that's really interesting. It's cool that you got to experience his passion for it. What they don't teach is that math can be really creative. It's just really hard to grade creativity. Oftentimes in math class, we're taught that there's only one way to solve a problem, which, in math couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, mathematicians, they love proving this. One second. I felt my voice was about to escape me. I caught it just in time. Everyone's heard the Pythagorean theorem. In a right-angled triangle on a Euclidean plane, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I just made up that jingle. But what you don't know is, you've done the math. People have asked you to calculate for A, B, or C. You've applied the theorem. But mathematicians love rediscovering the theorem. So they've proven it in about 200 different ways. It's the most proved theorem, and people get really creative with those ways too. People use visual proofs where they divide up the triangle and they make up squares and rearrange them. Other people go through algebraic routes or more direct ways, using analysis or the rules of Euclidean. There's just so many ways to prove this, and there's what an amazing creativity in coming up with this theorem. But it all leads you to the same place. There might be only one way to do a calculation, but not one way to come up with the theorems that we use. And most math classes don't teach you that. It's always about the journey. I concur, Loopy Lane. Oh, hello, Dale. One of the things that I see people struggle with in math class is that they feel like it has to make sense. And that's one of the weirdest things about math, if you figure this out, is that it starts becoming really easy when you give up trying to make sense of it. Seriously. There's actually a joke in higher mathematics. The joke goes like this, and you won't get it, I'm already telling you. A monad is a monoid in the category of endofunctors. And you won't get the joke because there's nothing to get. That's the joke. But students struggle with this. They go, what is a monad? I don't get it. And the teacher keeps saying, a monad is a monoid in the category of endofunctors. And students still try to make sense of it. I don't get it. Teacher keeps repeating it. A monad is a monoid in the category of endofunctors. But they're not repeating it until it clicks. That's the secret. It will never click. But at some point you just accept the definition. And so you start repeating it too. A monad is a monoid in the category of endofunctors. And that's all you need to know. If you can repeat the definition, you're a mathematician. Mathematicians don't try to make sense of their definitions. They just remember them and apply them wherever they can. Whenever the question arises, what is a monad? You don't have to understand what it is. You just remember the definition. Monad is a monoid in the category of endofunctors. And as long as you know the definition of a monoid and a category and endofunctors, then no need to make it make sense. Now, thank you, Goulet, for your subscription. I hope you enjoy the sticker pack. And I always look forward to connecting with people like you here and being a part of this journey of life together. Hello, Gaia. And thank you for your additional rose to Goulet. I think I go back and forth between Gulai and Goulet. You'll have to tell me which of it is. Radhe or Radhe. And Loopy Lane, thank you for your pair of paper cranes. Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha. Thank you, Garrett, for your W, your pair of cloud breads, and your ice cream cone. I'm happy you like the stickers too. Yes, you've spelt your name. But we need the phonetics to fully understand I'll do my research. Is it like, here, is it goulet as in day, D-A-Y, or is it A-Y as in like guy, G-U-Y? Is it I, or A as in day? I as in guy, or day as in day? You put some umlauts over the oo. Okay, well that does help. But I think I was pronouncing that syllable right. The next part I needed help with. Rat, you ask, where does the attraction of love come from? Is it some sort of craving for self-improvement, or is it a state of being? There are many ways in which we use the word love. There are three kinds of love. You could categorize it in different ways, but I'll explain it in these and along this dimension. There's true love, there's lust, and then there's business. A lot of people refer to what really is more of a business or lust as love. So how can we tell the difference? Well, when it's all about what you can give and not about what you can get, then that's true love. Giving without expectation of return. I love you, and I don't have to hear it back because it's not about what I get. It's about the gift of giving. That's love. When it's about what we can get and not about what we can give, when it's all about what can you do for me, what can I get from you, how can you love me, then that's lust, because we're taking something from them without giving back. And when it's equally about what you can give as it is about what you can get, then that's a business. That's the definition of business. There's a transaction happening. Real love is all about what you can give without getting anything back. Unfortunately, a lot of relationships are built on lust. Each person is just trying to extract from each other. Maybe if you're lucky, you might enter a relationship on business. I do this for you. You do this back to me. But in order for love to blossom, it's about each other trying to give as much as they can and not take anything. We still receive, but it's not an expectation anymore. It's a bonus, you know? It's like, wow, you've done this because you love me too. I never expected that. I really just wanted to treat you, and I never expected for you to do this back. Thank you so much, you know? That's love. And that's a great way of simplifying it, Dylan. There's conditional love and unconditional love. In a business, there's a condition for giving. I first have to see the money in my hands, sir, and then I'm giving you this. It's the condition there. But unconditional love means you don't have to tick any boxes for me to love, because what I love about you is not about me. What I love about you is not how I benefit from this relationship. I benefit just by loving you, just by having someone that I can love. I benefit. Unconditional love. Leroy Jenkins. What an old meme that is. I think I know how old you are just by your username. How many people know where Leroy Jenkins is from? I wonder. Good night, dear Chloe. I'm happy you're going to bed earlier. A classic. Indeed. Oh, thank you, Crossfires. It's a balance. Balance between the masculine and the feminine. And it's difficult when they're always wishing for different ways of being. I was wondering, my foot, it's feeling something really waxy. I looked down, like, what is it? It's wax. Like, I guess a candle had melted and there's wax on the deck. This big chunk of it. This is really interesting, the shape and texture. Kind of looks like a squid or something from some angles. Megatroni, you thought it was from SpongeBob, but that's Old Man Jenkins. Yeah, that's a different Jenkins, but also a worthy Jenkins. I realize I don't need my sun hat anymore. Thank you, Leroy. You hear it, but you never knew where it came from, shares Elias. I believe it came from World of Warcraft or some video game where like a person was like, screw it, I'm going in. Leroy Jenkins! And he goes and charges the enemy, and that's his war cry. And everyone in his group just cracks up because it's the funniest thing. Now everyone playing video games in that time period of the internet, I think it was early 2000s, started doing that. Whenever they were just rushing in to complete whatever objective, even if there's a million enemies and then you get blown up. I think that was funny about it. I'm forgetting exactly because it's been literally decades, but I think he got blown up like immediately. Leroy Jenkins! Run in to the enemy, just explodes. So he was, or maybe he beat everyone. I forget. I don't know. Either way, it's funny. Queen Rock Forever, you bring up a good point. The more you give, the more you can get hurt as they walk all over you then. Good evening, good morning. That's a wonderful point. If you're giving to a place that takes advantage of your giving, this is not the kind of giving that I'm referring to. Why? Because in many ways we are taking from them by giving to a person that takes advantage of that love. What do I mean? Well, for example, someone who is still learning, emotionally developing, someone who's learning how to be independent and healing from their traumas and their insecurities, by giving to them in such a way that it gets taken advantage of, it only fuels their insecurities, it only continues in their dependence on you, it furthers their stagnancy in their emotional growth, then actually we are devoiding them from the gift of independence, from emotional maturity and development. So, true giving actually excludes being walked all over. Because if you're being walked all over by your giving, then you're also devoiding them of some boundary that needs to be set for their well-being. So you can really give by setting boundaries sometimes. You give them the opportunity to learn their independence, to go through this challenge without depending on you. But that's a great point, Queen Rock Forever, and I thank you for bringing that up. I want to be very clear that absolutely, even though love is all about giving, we still have to be respected in the process. And part of giving is giving them the lesson that to love means that I'm not going to love you if you're going to take advantage of it too. And that's a hard lesson to give, and some people really struggle with that, but it's a part of love also. Like if you really love your partner, you wouldn't let them walk all over you, because you would be teaching them that that's right, or you'd be teaching your children that that's allowed, or you'd be validating some insecurity that harms them ultimately. So love, unconditional love, doesn't just mean love without setting healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries can make your love really become even more influential in authentic and sincere ways. And I think that is very relatable for lots of people. Hello 3264. Oh, I'm happy that you find something soothing about this space. Oh, it has been more than 1 decade, hasn't it? Asks Donsuela. I think by now we're coming close to it. Maybe it was 15 years. I don't know. The Leroy Jenkins meme. Thank you, Peter Schaefer, for your rose a few minutes ago now. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. And Gulai, thank you for your rose. Queen Walk. Ooh. Queen Rock Forever, thank you for your heart meme. You share that. You're still learning to love yourself, and you really need to set your boundaries. It's a learning process. It's funny, boundaries are about loving ourselves, and it's also about loving them. It makes the relationship healthier for both people. Even if they don't realize it. And Garrett, thank you for another 11 roses, my friend. And Gina, thank you for your community fast. Radhe or Radhe, salutations to the Divine Mother. Daniela, thank you for your rose too. Hare Krishna, and thank you, Gule, for another rose too. Sleepy Panda Baby, you have no idea how I sit outside all day. It's boiling where you are. Oh, it might not be as boiling here. Although, there is some boiling happening here. Because it's my last name. Boiling. I'm boiling. No, it's not too hot. I don't know the exact temperature, but right now in the shade, probably 20 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in freedom units. Hello, Marlin, my big sister. Welcome. Crossfires, you're wondering, has nature ever protected me in my life that I found happen? What a beautiful question. I feel like if I really think about it, something will come up. I feel like the answer is yes, but I don't know if I have a story that comes to mind immediately. There definitely have been times where I've been redirected, you know. You could imagine, metaphorically, a tree has fallen, taking me a different route, only to later come to know that that other path was dangerous for some reason. I feel like this has happened in my life. Maybe as we continue this live, something will come up. I find that happens. You know, computers have these things called background processes where some software is running in the background. They don't have a visual component. It's still happening at the level of your CPU, your computer processing unit. It's like a background task. It's like as soon as you initiate some inquiry that's not quite there at the conscious level, it's like a librarian goes into the archives and it comes back later. It's like, oh, this background task is finished. It's like when you're forgetting a word or the name of some actor or actress, and then like later that day, or maybe even like a week later, it's like, oh, now I remember, it's Steve Buscemi. That's right. And then everyone around you is like, what? When were we talking about Steve Buscemi? No, last week I was trying to remember. Went deep into the archive. The background task finished up, returned to the surface. Happens often. Will you share that you are my big sister too if I accept? I'm okay with that, as long as Marlon doesn't get jealous. Marlon, you wouldn't be jealous sharing me as a brotherly figure in your life, would you? Oh, you've already answered my question. I have another big sister. Thank you, Marlon. Thank you, Gulaim. It's very kind of you. Thank you, Gulay, for another rose. And Queen Rock forever. Thank you for your friendship necklace. Your pair of them. I love your spirit, Marlon. How about we all be family? I like that. We are fellow brothers, sisters, siblings on the spiritual path. I know that I try to look up to all beings as a brother, sister, mother, father. Broasters. Brethren. There's a lot of funny words for that. Mental solutions, you ask. What do I think about the Akashic records? I like this question. Does anyone know what the word Akash translates to? Akash. It's not an English word, obviously, but there is an English word that it translates to. Anyone know? That's right, Donsuela. Space, especially in reference to Vayu, Agni, Jalam, and Prithvi. Together with Akash being the quintessence, the fifth element, these form the five elements. Akash is space, Vayu is air, Agni is fire, Jalam is water, and Prithvi is earth. And they form a sequence in that order. When the universe was created, there was nothing but space. Akash. From space, air, gas arose. Gas turned into fireballs, fire. From fire forged heavier elements binding together like water. From earth, earth was made from these such heavier elements and molecules. Planets. So the Akashic records are the records of the original element, space. What does that mean? Well, Einstein kind of has the answer to that. Einstein says that whenever you have something in space, it makes an impression in it. And that impression actually gives rise to various phenomena like gravitation, like time dilation as well. When you have an impression in space, objects move around that impression following the geodesic, the straight line according to the curvature. And when things move, they make ripples in that space. And recently we detected that at LIGO, the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory. What an acronym that is, where we measured actually the record that space keeps of all the movement of the energy in planets and galaxies and black holes and neutron stars. Right now, our detectors are very insensitive. I mean, it's the most sensitive we've ever made, but we can only detect the biggest impressions in that space. When black holes merge, they create huge gravitational waves, and even neutron stars too, when they merge. We've been able to pick that up. But yeah, the Akashic records literally means the record that space keeps itself. Everything makes an impression in the space that exists within it. I think that's really cool. And in theory, if you were just sensitive to this space itself, that's all you need in order to extrapolate the goings on of the galaxies around and even subtler events, but you'd have to be really sensitive. And I love that passion. I share that with you, Queen Rock. Nature, the universe is so phenomenal. It's amazing, isn't it? And it can be overwhelming at times too. An ethereal substance that keeps the records of everything. That's a great translation for it, Kelsey. Oh, and thank you, Catherine, for that heart me you sent a moment ago. Hari Om Tat Sat. Now, I actually want to begin to wrap things up rather shortly. I just wanted a nice short live today. Last night, I got overwhelmed trying to fall asleep. I had lots of thoughts in my mind, lots of things to process. So I'm going to take it easier on myself today and just do a shorter live. As I'm sure many of you have heard by now, I've been having a challenging time going off of my sleep medication, which also doubles as an appetite increaser and an anxiety medication. So there's lots of consequences of going off it, and I'm dealing with that with my body. I'm going to take it easy for myself and begin to wrap things up for tonight. Well, the sun is still up. I thank you for understanding. And you love the double slit experiment in Diasu. It's very cool. I love that one too. But I'd like to ask you all my question of the day today, which is, what is an example of seeing the good in something not so good? I'd love to know. Thank you, Ali Show. Maybe you can think of an example from your own life. Maybe something that at first seemed bad, but then later became good, or there was something that you learned from a difficult experience. The projection of thought shares Crossfires. Passion for the collective shares India Sue. Lauren, you share advocating for rehabilitation over capital punishment. Wow, that's a very, very powerful and practical one, that is. I love that. Your voice will go a long way. I can hear it echo into the future. India, you share you're going through this helping a friend. That makes sense. Savannah, you're not loving your job, but you get to see your 10-month-old every day. Aw, I'm so happy to hear that. I'm sure they love that too. Daffy, you share, for example, you got rejected by the girl you've loved for a long time, but you've realized it helps you. I'm so happy that you found some way in which you grow because of this experience. And hello, Sky. Helps you handle rejection. Daffy, yeah. And hello to you too. Or that you are apologizing if it's hard right now. It'll be so cool to accompany my discovery of new solutions. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm very blessed to have so many kind people here. And listening to your lovely music helped. It was very inspiring. I think everyone here should listen to Orla's music. She's on Spotify and has dozens of monthly listeners. You have an angelic voice, that is. Aw, Sky, you share you saw a homeless guy a while ago with your mom and we brought him food. That's a great example, because here's a difficult situation, but there's something that you can do. There's an opportunity there. Don Suela, you share that everything that you found challenging, you have learned new aspects about yourself and others. Queen Rock Forever, you share your 10-year-old son is a Roblox player and is very creative to have Robux in. Oh, I played a lot of Roblox when I was younger too. Yeah. It's funny how long that game has been around. I played it when I was a kid, my sisters played it, and now your son plays it. And I love all the creative ways that you appreciate your son. Mars, you share that all the trials and tribulations you've experienced has made you really empathetic. I love that. Whenever we experience something difficult, we can either close up or open up. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Elias, you share a big pro tip. Give the homeless a pack of new socks. I remember being taught that in grade 5, I think. That one of the best things you can gift a homeless person is something comfy, like socks. And it goes a long way. And toiletries and other essentials. You know, food might only last a day, but socks can last a long time. Seeing the light from the darkness. Yes, I like that, Doug. Daffy, you share that you think I'd relate to Notre Dame. Oh, I think this is a name of a song, because before that you shared that I should listen to Paris Paloma's music. Well, I'm touched that you share something, you recommend something that you love. That's a beautiful aspect of you. And thank you, Daffy, for your heart me a minute ago too. And thank you, Digna, for your friendship and 7 roses. Radhe Radhe. And Savannah, thank you for your finger heart. Jai Sitaram. And thank you, Gabriella, for your heart me. Jealousy can lead to passion. It's very true, Marcy. Aw. I'm happy that your son is such a positive light for you, Queen Rock, from your bad relationship. So you would do it again. Well, whenever I hear stories of parents that ultimately aren't good for each other, but have brought a child into this world, it's like, well, because that child was absolutely meant to be here, then that relationship was definitely meant to happen. Isn't it so? Because the child, would not be here without that. So it's clear that because the child is meant to be here, that the relationship was meant to happen too. And all of its lessons I remember talking about that with my mom, that there was some difficulty with my parents, and now they're learning their own independence from each other. And we were talking about how my mom could have left a long time ago, but then my sister would never have been there. And it's like, wow, yeah, I wouldn't have a sister. And it really hit me that my sister is definitely meant to be here, and I love her. And so in some way I'm happy that what happened, because I'm so happy to have a younger sister. Now thank you, Gabriella, for your heart me, your 10 team bracelets, and 7 finger hearts. There's some for you too. Radhe Radhe. Has she ever been on my live? No, she's very shy, and I want to respect her privacy. She's young. She's 8 years younger than me. 14. Alright. I want to thank you all for playing around with this question of the day. If you have more answers, please share them, but I am going to move on to our next segment. Do I want to build a snowman? Asks Gaia. Do I want to build a snowman? It doesn't have to be a snowman. I would love to build a snowman, although I'm kind of happy that it's summer. The cold, shiver me timbers. And thank you, Irina, for your 33 music plays too. It's very kind of you. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. Sherry, you love summer. I'm happy to hear that. What is the temperature of Canada today? Well, I'm sure it's snowing somewhere. I'm sure it's rainy somewhere. Second biggest country in the world. We got a lot of different climates and biomes, but here on the west coast, on the southern tip of Vancouver Island, it's nice and sunny, clear day, blue sky, warm weather. I don't know the exact temperature, probably around 20. Where I am, out in the sun, it might be higher, 25. Daffy, you shared that you're going on a road trip to Canada next summer. That's very cool. Do you know what part of Canada you're going to? How often do I go live? Asks Kiefer. Every day. As long as I don't have some other obligation, like hanging out with my mom, or a doctor's appointment, or if I have an interview, podcast. Many Canadians here. That's fun. Marlon, you asked, what are my thoughts about soul contracts? I think we can rip them up at any time. That we do come here for a reason, but we can always change that reason, like anything in life. We can go in for one intention, but our intentions change over time. There's many movies about that. The boy was dared to go out with the girl, the lonely girl, and then he actually ends up falling in love with her, but that's before she finds out that it was actually originally because it was a dare and someone was paying him for it. And then it's like, no, well, not now. Originally, maybe, but my intentions have changed. I think the same is true in life, that we can have big aspirations, but we're free always to decide how we want to direct our life too. Of course, there's big parts of our life that are always going to happen, that are meant to be, but there's huge parts of our life that are open, that we get to paint in ourselves too. And thank you, Gabriella, for your 20 finger hearts and your quintet of finger hearts as well, making 25 of them, I think. Pentavision tuple of finger hearts. I think that would be the metric, or not the metric, the numeric prefix, pentavision tuple. Wow. Wow. I'm happy to connect with you in that green rock forever. That's deep and personal. You don't know yet which part of Canada, Daffy, but you're hoping to see as much as you can. Being from France, it's kind of once in a lifetime. Oh. There's many places I'm sure you'll love. But there's a story of this wise old man who used to sit out of this town in the desert. And people would come and ask him, travelers from afar, are the people here nice? Are they kind? And the old man would always say the same thing. He would first ask a question. He would ask, well, are they kind where you came from? And if the people said yes, then he'd say, absolutely, the people here are just as kind. But if they said no, then he would say, well, you're not going to find any kinder people here. Even if the travelers came from the same place. Moral of the story is that what we see in others, we bring with us everywhere. That we cannot escape our own perception, because our perception of others is a part of us. As long as you are full of love, I am sure you will feel full of love in Canada just as you will in France. Now thank you, Gule, for another rose, and MJ for your trio of tiny tinies. Yippee! Alright. I'd like to read from In Love at Ease before we go. And this will be the last thing we do today in the Sangha. Normally I like to end with meditations, but this will be our meditation for tonight. We're almost done reading this book. Just several pages left. And then there might be a surprise interview with the author. And if any of you have any questions for the author or about Swamishri, who this book is about, I would be honored, truly, to pass them on to him. this final section of this final chapter is all about, well, Swamishri's final chapter, but how he remained in love at ease, even the last few years of his life. The organization, his spiritual organization that he was the president of, continued to thrive even as Swamishri's physical health declined. There were a few reasons for it. Swamishri welcomed regular updates. When senior sadhus and trustees came to Sarangpur to share important milestones or ask for advice on certain issues, Swamishri helped as if nothing had changed. When they made decisions on their own, Swamishri blessed them from a distance. Though Swamishri did not retire, he taught a master class on how to empower his bhaktas, his devotees. Swamishri was not the least bit upset when he could not be involved, and he was not the least bit bothered when someone did ask him for advice. He was available to serve with utmost dedication. Then as soon as a meeting ended and the senior sadhus and trustees left his room, Swamishri turned inwards and returned to his bhakti and seva, his loving devotion and selfless service. It was that ideal balance between everything and nothing. Swamishri had not given up, but he had given way. To be at ease is to make room, but also stand by to support. To be at ease is to embrace what is to come. Swamishri was ready to merge with the divine. Death and passing away are terms that scare us. They trigger fear and morbidity, bibbidi bobbidi boop. Morbidity. Swamishri approached this final passage with ease. He set an example for the world to embrace and accept the next chapter. He did not think of it as a passing away, but a passing on. He experienced the Atman, and not just this body. Atman means true self. This allowed him to embrace the passing on of his Atman from this body to return to God. Swamishri regularly reminded his bhaktas that Janmya dhyati jarur jano marvanu che mate ji, which means all who are born will one day pass on. The ease with which he spoke of this concept was a marker of his ability to calmly and comfortably embrace death. I went into Swamishri's room in Gondal on the afternoon of the Gujarati New Year, known as Bestu Varash, the day after Diwali. The morning was hectic, with the Annakut, the mass offering of food to God, known as the Mountain of Food celebrations. Oh, I'd like to experience that. I thought the afternoon would be quieter. I was wrong. Vivek Sargar Das Swami, Narayan Charan Das Swami, and other sadhus, other monks, whizzed in and out of Swamishri's room with phones as bhaktas from around the world called their guru for blessings. I was sitting in the corner watching Swamishri patiently speak to each bhakta and community leader who called. There was only one Swamishri, and a dozen phones circulating in the hands of the attendants. I was overwhelmed just by watching the scene unfold. I zoned out and started to play with the tassels of a bluish rug on the floor. I was so preoccupied with the rug that I did not realize that I was the only one in the room with Swamishri. My guru patiently watched me daydream. I finally looked up and almost jumped when I realized what had happened. Swamishri was laughing. I was thinking of you earlier today. What happened the other day when you were singing in my morning puja? I tried to jog my memory but couldn't remember. Swamishri continued, "Weren't you having trouble with that microphone stand?" Oh, I know the trouble. Ah, yes. How did he remember? Yes, Swamishri. It kept drooping and then falling. I tried to tighten the knob to make it stand, but it was difficult to sing, play the harmonium, and keep my eyes on the book while preventing the microphone stand from falling. I heard that Yogi, the author, is actually a wonderful singer, and I think I'm going to ask him to sing a little in the interview too. But don't tell him that; it'll be a surprise. Swamishri agreed. Exactly. That is what I wanted to tell you. One day, it may become difficult to balance everything, and we too may collapse like that microphone stand. The Atman, the true self within us, will rise, and the body will collapse. You may try to revive it like you did that day, but one day, eventually, it will fall for good. Swamishri showed me a visualization. He put his hands up and gently swayed as if drooping to one side and falling on the floor. Just like this, Yogi, me, and you, and everyone. The only way to prepare for it is through bhakti, loving devotion. Love God and Guru, spiritual source and teacher. Serve all with humility. Experience God, source, and all those around you, starting with your own Atman, your own self. That's called Atmanishta, feeling the abiding presence of the divine within your own heart. And enjoy the journey. Do not let death surprise you. We prepare for everything in life but this. Consider yourself warned. You are a singer. What is that bhakti song? In response, I sang half of Premanand Swami's popular bhakti verse. Japeta kal ka aisa japeta, baj ka jaisa. The grasp of death is like the swoop of a hawk. I don't know the melody. One of the attendants walked into the room with yet another phone and heard me singing the bhakti song. Yogi, why are you singing such dreary bhakti songs on New Year's Day? You musicians never know what is appropriate for certain festivals and rituals. Swamishri looked at him and then me. Will death ask before it comes? Perhaps delay its arrival, because it's New Year's Day. Swamishri turned to the call just as easily as he had turned his attention to me. I turned to the rug. Death was not a finality for Swamishri. It was just another transition in the cycle of moksha, of liberation, spiritual transcendence. The ease with which he illustrated the inevitability of death that afternoon prepared me for my face-off with an undiagnosed chronic illness. My own mother's advanced cancer and the passing away of one of my closest friends and a father-like figure. Swamishri had delivered the profound lessons of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita from his room in Gondal. His confidence and ease in facing the next chapter was infectious. It steadied millions like me as we, too, prepared for the inevitable. We were lucky to have a guru and a mother, our own Sri Krishna Bhagwan, watching over and guiding us. The sadhus who served and observed Swamishri towards the end of his time in Sarangpur noted how tranquil he was. He was not in a rush to go to his beloved. He was not desperate to stay and guide his bhaktas. There was no fear or restlessness. He was at peace. He was at ease as he awaited the next chapter. He exhibited a certain respect for life, death, time, and God. He lived the knowledge of the Atman transcending the body and accepted the will of Bhagwan Swaminarayan. He was ready to go when his beloved would take him. Until then, there was bhakti and seva, loving devotion and selfless service. And I'll leave the final section of this chapter for tomorrow. where we literally just have 2 pages and then that's it, besides an afterword that we'll read also, and then we'll be done with this book and we'll be picking up another one. So thank you for listening. And again, I ask if you have any questions you'd like for me to relay to Yogi, if his schedule and health allows it. I would be very honored to pass your questions on in a potential interview. All right, Magdalene, I love that question. In what way does Yogi find himself in love and at ease? That's a wonderful question. I love that a lot. In fact, let me write that down right now before I lose the comments. Got a piece of paper and a pen right here. Thank you, Magdalene. I should ask if he's going to write another book. I like that too. I know that he has a couple other books as well. Thank you, Laurie, for your pair of tiny nines. Yahoo! That you sent as we began reading, and for your quintet of roses. Gulai, thank you for your rose and all your love here. Big sister, and Kent and Lisa, thank you for your community fest and heart me. Radhe, Radhe. We're going to end this Sangha. It's a good time to leave, but I agree, Orla. What sweet souls they are. And I love Yogi. He's so sweet. I look forward to meeting him. Possibly Sarah. Isha, you've been in this live for a while. Well, I'm happy to have you here. Possibly Sarah. Always. And you're just curious what spirituality or faith this is. I try to be accommodating for everyone's spiritual tradition and faith. I like to believe that I don't really have one. I'm just kind of going with however I can serve others, you know? Whatever you believe to be your path, I only want to help you on your way down that path. I'm not attached to taking you in a certain direction or away from another. I'd like to give you the energy and speed to continue down wherever you're already headed. Or like you shared that you wonder what's the best way to cultivate being in love and at ease daily. I'll ask that too. Here we can do ASMR. You can listen to the writing noises. That's beautiful, Shelly. You're a good mother. Mother of the whole world. Thank you for being here, Don Suela. And hello, Ches. You've come right at the end. Marlon, you share, you think you heard a mosquito flying around me? Probably. Yeah. Marcy, you share, for someone so intelligent, I actually have really neat handwriting. I have good handwriting when I put in 100% of my effort, but when I need to write something quickly, it's not that clean. But when I was younger, I used to love trying different fonts. I'd love shaping my letters in different ways, and I'd get distracted, and I'd do blocky letters with all right angles, and my teacher would come over and go, "Are you ready to hand in your paper?" And it's like, "No, I'm writing in this way." And then I couldn't stop because I was halfway through, and it would look messy if I just suddenly switched to a different font. It's true, the other side looks a lot better. Yeah, I think a good example of when my writing actually is with 100% of my brain is in this book that I have, my journal, my red book. Something like this, the title page. The book where I try to figure everything out. That's what my writing looks like on a good day. But it's so much slower that way. Oh my goodness. But thank you, Marcy. Thank you, Gule, for another rose. Not everything, no way. Shares Glitter Parade, yeah, it's audacious, isn't it? Perhaps even ostentatious. Yeah. Or let you share. You also copied a font all of 7th grade. That's so fun. I love that, Orla. And I love all of you. And I'm going to say goodbye to all of you now. And I'm going to do some chores. Going to help clean the kitchen for my mother as she is away. This live stream will be uploaded to my Yamsox Lives YouTube channel. And anyone who's listening to the recording from the future, hello people from the future. Maybe it's some of you from the past. Yeah, your past self is here. Isn't that crazy? We're communicating outside of time. Anyway, namaste, Priscilla. Oh, thank you, Marlon. I will. Ragnhildur, thank you for your trio of roses. Also, all the readings that we do and the meditations when we do them. I said do. They're also uploaded in designated playlists there. And other alternative platforms, all in the link tree in my bio. May this live stream be an offering to Sri Radha Krishna, the form of the divine that I bow to within you. Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Shyam Shyam, Radhe Radhe. May you all have a wonderful rest of your present moment. Until next time, namaste.